Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
We asked Saskatchewan what they know about 5G.
More speed, more innovation.
It's gonna make our lives a whole heck of a lot easier.
This is what 5G looks like.
Better, faster.
Sounds like one more G. Sounds pretty good.
I don't know what it means.
All you really need to know is the future of 5G is here and will continue improving through investments in network technology.
Hey Ben, what's the Aztec Safety online e-learning website again?
Yeah, that would be aztecsafety.com.
Fire extinguisher and firefighting, we'll send that one to Paul.
Ah, now here's a course I should probably take. Conflict resolution.
Power line safety. Yeah, I thought it might help me with my line calls. Did you know this Aztec website has over 100 safety courses?
Jeez. Aztec Safety online course. Ground disturbance. Could have used that a few seconds ago.
So with the impact to my business and income, will this delay my retirement?
I know you're worried, Marshall, but based on the original plan we came up with, you're only about 6 months behind.
I thought it would be years, not months.
You should feel good. Remember, you've got a plan.
Thanks.
With change comes questions. See the impact of your money decisions before you make them with RBC Wealth Plan.
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
We asked Saskatchewan what they know about 5G.
More speed? More innovation?
It's gonna make our lives a whole heck of a lot easier.
This is what 5G looks like.
Better, faster. Sounds like one more G. Sounds pretty good.
I don't know what it means.
All you really need to know is the future of 5G is here and will continue improving through investments in network technology.
Hey Ben, what's the Aztec Safety online e-learning website again?
Yeah, that would be aztecsafety.com.
Fire extinguisher and firefighting, we'll send that one to Paul.
Now here's a course I should probably take. Conflict resolution.
Power line safety. Yeah, I thought it might help me with my line calls. Did you know this Aztec website has over 100 safety courses?
Jeez. Aztec Safety online course. Ground disturbance. Could have used that a few seconds ago.
So with the impact to my business and income, will this delay my retirement?
I know you're worried, Marshall, but based on the original plan we came up with, you're only about 6 months behind.
I thought it would be years, not months.
You should feel good. Remember, you've got a plan.
Thanks.
With change comes questions. See the impact of your money decisions before you make them with RBC Wealth Plan.
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
We asked Saskatchewan what they know about 5G.
More speed?
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in...
Hey Ben, what's the Aztec Safety online e-learning website again?
Yeah, that would be aztecsafety.com.
Fire extinguisher and firefighting, we'll send that one to Paul.
Now here's a course I should probably take. Conflict resolution.
Power line safety. Yeah, I thought it might help me with my line calls. Did you know this Aztec website has over 100?
So with the impact to my business and income, will this delay my retirement?
I know you're worried, Marshall, but based on the original plan we came up with, you're only about 6.
We asked Saskatchewan what they know about 5G.
More speed? More innovation?
It's gonna make our lives a whole heck of a lot easier.
This is what 5G looks like.
Better, faster. Sounds like one more G. Sounds pretty good.
I don't know what it means.
All you really need to know is the future of 5G.
Hello and welcome. RBC Dominion Securities Western Showdown. We got Gushue. This will be a fun one. My name's Rory McCusker. I'm joined by David Wills. Hello, David.
Hello there.
Draw number something or other here at the
Western
Showdown.
it's hard to name the draw. We're in the A flight, and one of these teams is in their second game, and one hasn't been tested yet. So we'll call it draw 2, I guess, or second round. Yeah.
Gushue will start without hammer. Brent Pierce following the center guard, which was a called center guard by Brad Gushue, into the rings. This is shot number 4. And we are playing ball. Love to see it. 4 rocks in play, 4 rocks thrown.
We're already rolling, and nobody's playing the old up and down the sheet game. Now we're in an 8-end game as opposed to a 10-end game. That may have something to do with it, but definitely nice to see these rocks coming in behind the guard. And already on second rocks. Sorry.
No, it's you can feel the trend moving towards that. The first end being a real curling end.
Yeah,
getting right into the game. I think the pregame practice has something to do with it. Just a little more confidence in what things are doing.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's sometimes the other thing is that if you're feeling confident in you and your team's ability to manage the ice in the first end, and the other team's got any trouble at all, you can kind of take advantage of that. Try to put them under a little pressure. So it can work. It can work both ways. But it's nice to see, as I said, the game off to a good start right away. So it may end up, we'll see big hits coming up, and everything will end up getting cleared away. But at the very least, we're opening up options. Here we go. We're already going to hit. Okay.
Rock number 5.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned Brent Pierce has played a earlier game in this event. Kelly Knapp.
He played against Kelly Knapp, that's right, in the first round and managed to win that one. Although you were saying they played a conservative game where there was a lot of blank ends. So
yeah, I just quickly looked at the score box. Looked like the first 4 ends were blanked, and then Kelly was forced to 1 in the 5th. Pierce got 2 in the 6th, and controlled the game from then on.
Yeah, but that's funny. Blank for half the game. Yeah, I had a low-scoring game yesterday in the women's side where it was only 2-2 by, I think we're in the 6th end, and it was only 2-2 with nothing more than singles scored all along the way. So we're being, I think we're being precise is the best way of putting it. We're forcing and throwing some really nice shots in this event. Ice is beautiful. Looks like they're really throwing, having a good time with the amount of curl this ice has. So
I've seen a lot of shots made really early on in the event, which is super. That's indicative of good curling ice for sure.
Absolutely.
We played this event. They had a SAS Tour men's event that I was playing in last weekend. The rocks weren't getting quite as much finish, so there was some kind of treatment to the rocks between then and now. But last weekend when I was playing, the speed was really consistent, and the sheets were easy to play on, easy to predict what they're going to do.
It makes a big difference when everybody has the confidence. The skips broom is coming down, and the throws are coming down with a lot more confidence, especially in the beginning of the game. It's really great to see. Here we come now with an attempt to raise, but it looks like it's over curling.
Yeah, I'd be really interested to know what the very specific call was there. Exactly what Brad wanted that rock to do.
Sort of come down into the pack, but I'm not sure. It's a really good question. All righty. Now, what's Brent going to do? Those 2 reds are now lined up beautifully. The 2 up front of the house. If anybody wanted to try and throw weight and knock them straight back, I think they could do a little bit of damage. So I think that might be one of the things he's worried about. Yeah, as he's standing here checking the angle. It's an awful long break between shots for the early end.
Yeah, but it's already really interesting.
That's right. That's right.
The angles of how these are stacked. I know I want to see these blow up just to see what happens.
Yeah, that's right. Throw the shot for the benefit of the commentators, so we can enjoy watching the effect. But there's a bit of risk, and I think he's thinking somebody else is going to do this if I don't. So let's do something with it now.
All in all, the kind of stack at the front of the rings isn't that bad for him. It's kind of Gushue has to do a lot of work here, so I'd be tempted to just let it be.
Or throw something in between the reds and the yellows just to get in the way. Even if you came down and bumped your own yellow, or I don't know. I don't know that it's really that much of a problem as long as you get something that takes away options for your opponent. Okay. So we're looking at a top 12 kind of half-covered freeze to his own rock. I guess in the idea that eventually he's going to try and remove that red and sit.
It's impossible to know this. I want to see the stats on how often the shot is made after a huge break in discussion like that. Because I find it's usually I personally don't like sitting there and waiting for multiple minutes before throwing in the middle of the end like that.
I'm trying to replay in my mind. Was the fellow who was talking to Brent about the shot the guy who threw it, or was it somebody else? I think it was the thrower, wasn't it?
I'm not sure.
No, I don't think so now that I look at it, because we have not yet had a vice rock yet. So I think that was his second's final shot. Okay, so now Brad is trying to play an angle slash. And this is Mark, who's a pretty deadly hitter, coming down. Oh, it's rolled in. Okay, I thought he was going to try and bump back to take out the yellow, but it clearly was a, I don't know, hit and stick or even hit and roll. Lots of options for red. Yellow has to be awfully, awfully careful here. Alrighty.
Taking a lot of time, but you know what? This is pretty high stakes. There's huge opportunities here for both teams.
Yep.
It's already the tension of the game is already quite high.
And the next couple of shots are going to tell us a lot. So remove the red, bump left into the yellows. Expose the other red a little bit more so it can be removed. Lots of possibilities here. Okay.
Add another one to the pile.
I was going to say, it's a
angular.
string, and can't easily be removed. Yeah, the other one could be removed, but this one cannot. So now Brad's got to do a second look. He's either got to try and make a play on that red, which he can see about half of, I think, or he's got to come around and just try and out-count him by being full 4-foot. Simple draw.
If they're going to keep not hitting these yellow rocks, you feel like you got to get something else in the 8-foot.
Mark doesn't know if he you can see that funny reaction when Brad's talking about it. He sort of shakes his head going, I don't know.
It's one of the more interesting houses in a first end I've seen.
Yeah, absolutely. All righty. I like the idea of just drawing behind these yellows. I mean, if you can draw behind these yellows in full 4-foot, how on earth is anybody going to do anything about it? It's extremely well guarded. Looks like Brad's opening it up. Here we go. Big weight, nose hit.
Oh, I just wish we had mics on them for this one. I'd love to hear what these discussions were.
No, he's not throwing a ton of weight. I was expecting a much bigger weight.
Just need to move something so you can start hitting yellows. That's gonna not a lot moved around.
The red's now in a position where it can easily be tapped or potentially removed, which will really put yellow in a nice spot. So not sure if Brent is going to try it or not.
What didn't change is how those loaded yellows are still coming back on the lone red and the 8-foot.
Mm-hmm. It might be time to take advantage of that now, because I don't know if Brad's going to let him have access to it for much longer.
Yeah, agreed. And making the tap on the red yourself on the intern side, I don't think that's that good. It kind of buries the red even further into the 4-foot, unaccessible.
Mm. Yeah, I like a nice firm bump on the nose of the red rock. Yellow, yellow, red. Yellow sits 3. This might be the longest first end in the history of curling.
Yeah, strap in. Good thing I ate lunch before this game.
Are they on a clock? There's no clock visible on any of the monitors, but I don't know if they're on a clock. For these.
No, certainly not.
Okay.
The army of volunteers it requires is really tough. You rarely see clocks outside of national and official events. Though it would be nice. Curling games have gotten longer and longer over the time that we've been doing this anyway here at Curling Stadium. Just noticing games going a little bit longer and longer.
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of times they'll say, well, there are no clocks, but of course we encourage you to play quickly and smoothly and without delay and yada yada. And everybody understands that. But then once you get out on the ice, you don't really think about it much. And I've seen some games drag on and on and on. And I mean, I don't want anybody to feel like they have to rush, but wow, sometimes like this end has just been, I don't even mind that it's taking a long time, but it should almost sort of be, you have to compensate by, playing the next couple ends a little faster. Right? Like they don't, if there's no clocks, they don't have to do that at all. There's no obligation. So we'll see how it ends up.
At least this end has been quite interesting tactically, and that there are, very costly decisions being considered in terms of how many rocks are in play. But,
I also wonder if a team like Team Pierce is thinking about the fact that they're playing Team Gushue, and so they're sort of looking at it and saying, let's make sure we do everything absolutely right. How many times are we going to be in a really good battle with a team like this? So.
Oh yeah. If I was playing Gushue at this tournament, especially in this position as the underdog, you'd just be geeked up walking into the rink. Absolutely, you'd be so excited for this one. This is your Briar.
This is Team Gushue. This isn't just another curling team. Oh, this is over curling and catching the guard. Yeah. All right. No.
Sitting frozen, edge of the 12 foot. That's still pretty lonely red in the rings.
Yep. They have to definitely make sure that they find a way to protect this, or else. And they actually moved. The guard was more or less exactly covering the red in the top of the 4-foot, and now that guard just got bumped over, so it's not actually covering it the same amount anymore. But Brad's going to come around and get in the way, so that the access is denied. Although, no, I suppose he has to knock it back a little ways, doesn't he? Because he's not shot.
That was the signaled call. I was watching the Brooms. They were talking about just getting to the face of the red rock, tapping it straight back.
Okay.
Pretty specific shot for Brad's first.
Mm.
You can see the audience gathered behind this sheet. Everyone craning their neck for a glimpse at a really high caliber game here at a high caliber tournament. The Western Showdown. It's grown year after year, becoming one of the more premier tournaments in Canada and really the world.
Well, this needs to curl a little bit, but it looks like it's going to get the job done. Question is, where will the shooter stop?
Rolls all the way out, flat. I think it's pretty good. It's third shot.
Yep, third shot, and very difficult to remove 2 reds. Absolutely.
The load on the yellows and the overlapped yellows in the top 8 and 12 foot no longer is dangerous for Team Gushue.
Exactly.
Really, really good.
Yeah,
result.
somebody needed to do something with that fun shot earlier. You and I should be able to talk to these guys while we're watching and say, okay, we'd like to see the following shot, please.
I just wanted to see where the top and middle rocks went, and watching rocks blow up. You learn something new every time, hopefully.
And your prediction's never quite right. It's always more or less correct, but there's always a surprise, especially when rocks are really close together. Drag
Very
effect
important to have someone on your team who knows those angles really well.
Yep.
Preferably that person's the skip, but not always.
Yeah. Alrighty.
Yeah, awesome curling town, Swift Current. They've worked really hard over the years to when you maintain a facility and you get the good sponsorship, the good attention to the rink, lots of big tournaments, good curlers coming through. You create your youth programs where curlers start coming up through your youth programs, and that's what Chris Heikert's done here at Swift Current. And I love broadcasting out of here because I just know how hard they've worked to have such a good facility and good events.
No, it looks terrific, and it's a dynamic environment. We're not hearing the rink's background noise very much right now, but I can imagine the energy is really positive. Lots of really really powerful voices and great energy from the curlers. Okay, we've made the shot around the guard to move the red and roll, sitting 1-2. Very, very nice. Yeah, I'm scanning some of the comments in the live chat. We have a comment that says that they should have a 95-minute buzzer that they have in their league play, so that when the buzzer goes, you can finish the end, and that's the end of it. So the way they're playing. Alrighty, so Gushue has to hit and roll.
I've always found just parking the scraper right next to the sheet. Like if you're the ice maker, you park the scraper right there. That'll hurry him up.
Yeah.
Wow, look at this pack. Pack stands out here at ice level.
Yeah.
Totally packed bench.
Yeah.
That's awesome to see.
Laid down some sheets of plywood and a few chairs, and here we go. Okay. Hit and roll. A hit.
Oh boy.
Not much of a roll. Now here's a question. Can they make a double on the 2 reds?
Oh, absolutely they can.
Score a whole bunch.
Just how hard is it is the question. And are you able to hit the low one first and still make it? I'm thinking the answer is yes. But either way, whether you're hitting the high one first or you're hitting the low one first, this has to be a missile.
I would agree with you. I like hitting the one that's touching the 4-foot first, because if you happen to roll your shooter out, it's not the worst consequence. Whereas if you go with a low one first, you have to really, as you say, throw an absolute missile, and it has to knock that red sideways. And I would say it's a little more difficult to make it that way. But
yeah,
again, you and I are a little bit of guessing what we're going to see. So And what about if he was to drive back the red, the top of the house, into the 2 yellows and come across? Would that be fun?
It'd be fun, but I don't think it'd be for more than 2, and I don't even know if it's for 2. Here, this is a good angle we have. Thanks, Connor, for getting the back here. Just Connor Sims on the production switching cameras for us here. Curling Stadium crew. I think if you hit the low one first, it hits the bottom half of the top one and it pushes it into the other yellow. I don't think it's there hitting the bottom one first.
Yeah. So it's but it's very thin though, right? Very, very thin hit, and then over onto the red. This will be very interesting to see how we end up.
Absolutely. Brent Pierce with an opportunity here in the first end to tell all his buddies back home in BC, I scored 3 on Gushue. What if he said I scored 4 on Gushue?
This is a shot for 5.
If he sticks his shooter, it's for 5. Absolutely. But, worst, let's see what happens. I am so upset.
Well, as you say, definitely throwing it hard.
Thick off the top, and it rolls over top. It's still a single. 1 point for Brent Pierce's new Westminister BC squad. And they will be 1 point up when we go to the second end.
So with the impact to my business and income, will this delay my retirement?
I know you're worried, Marshall, but based on the original plan we came up with, you're only about 6 months behind.
I thought it would be years, not months.
You should feel good. Remember, you've got a plan.
Thanks.
With change comes questions. See the impact of your money decisions before you make them with RBC Wealth Plan.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's Ice Pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best brew in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.
Stronger agronomics, better returns, greater peace of mind from pre-seed to post-harvest. You can count on the Victory Canola program to keep you
Welcome back. Swift Current. It's the RBC Dominion Securities Western Showdown. The most fun you're going to have this weekend is watching curling with us. All the way through to Monday. This is a men's A event. Brad Gushue, Brent Pierce. Dave, we had quite a first end, didn't we?
Oh, that was great. I mean, it was interesting to see all the different angles, different options, different possibilities. It did go on for a while, so I think it would be refreshing for everybody if we had one that was a little simpler. But wow, what an amazing end. And it ended up just with 1 point after all that. It was looking almost like a mixed doubles end where there were so many rocks in play. You figured somebody's somehow going to manufacture a big number, but that's okay. 1 point gets us started, and Gushue has now got the hammer.
I'm just checking in on the chat, and they were having as much fun as we were, David, watching that end.
I think so too, yeah.
Love checking in to see who's watching. John Cullen I bet he's went through 2 bags of lozenges. How is your voice doing, John, after all that commentating at the Grand Slam of Curling? Home Team Live, the broadcast of the Grand Slam of Curling has been taking on a huge task. Streaming 3 sheets at once, putting their own commentators on nearly every draw. Really impressive, John and Tanner Gates and that whole home team crew.
No, the Grand Slams have been incredibly entertaining. Absolutely. And that's a credit to the people who are doing all the work to make sure that we get our cameras set up right. We have good production, and I think the curlers benefit too, because they have a lot of people following, and they can turn and say to people, "Hey, have a look! It's going to be here, or it's going to be there." I just love how we're building that energy with what I guess I'll just loosely call fans, people who are always interested and always following. It's just been fantastic.
Really nice looking tap coming around the center guard. 3 rocks right down the middle, but with 5 rocks total thrown, it is now healing time for Brad Gushue. May have a sour taste in his mouth and how crazy last end got. I think he might be the one to switch gears here.
Yeah, it'll be nice to see them get a little bit aggressive, but in a weird way, we could say that Brad got away with one there, because I think they all knew that there was a big shot there that, had it been made, could have been a very big number. But one's fine for now. Let's go and see where we get to. Oh, just a straight peel on one side. Seems like it overcurled.
You know what? Right when Gushue split off his own on his last rock there, you know what it reminded me of, and I haven't kind of felt that way in a long time, was the Olympic final, the John Schuster Nicodine Olympic final, where all of a sudden Schuster has this double for 5, and the upset was on. That's just kind of, I don't know. Call me, that might be a little dramatic, but that's kind of what it reminded me of.
It's like an accidental. Well, we've got all these rocks building up in the house, and nobody's too worried because we know who shot, and things are fine. Then all of a sudden, you kind of look and say, "Uh-oh, look out!" So it can sneak up on you a little bit. So, and that doesn't happen very often with games at this level, but once in a while. Here we go. Another centerline guard coming back, essentially replacing the rock that was just removed. This is sliding a little farther than the other one. Here you go. There's a triple there. Hit it the right way. Yep. Here comes Brendan.
These are the type of shots you practice as a second rock thrower. 3 rocks lined up down the middle, and your job is to, move them out of the way. So, routine throw.
Just got to hit it at the right angle.
A little thicker than they wanted, I bet, but that's going to do the trick. All 3 rocks have left the center line.
And guarding their red.
Yeah, exactly. Botcher's addition to the Gushue squad has been really fun to watch.
Yeah.
A lot of speculation going in.
Yeah. I was in Lacombe for the Pan Continental, and got to see sort of the first, I guess you'd call, serious full-on event that they played as a team. And Brendan looked completely comfortable. They looked comfortable. When you have players at this level working together, it's nice to see how easily things seem to fit. Communication, even physical positioning around the rock, little things like that can get a bit awkward, all looked really solid.
Oh, absolutely.
Very nice.
I was in Lacombe as well watching that tournament, and yeah, I saw the same thing as you. The really surprising dynamic part of that change was how much more of a voice Jeff Walker had at that Lacombe event. If you're watching the broadcast, so I was there working for World Curling in the broadcast truck, and we could, the mic'd up moments. You heard Jeff giving so much input and making a lot of confident calls and declarations. I think that was so healthy for the transition to fill in that kind of void of communication, losing your previous player. And yeah, I was really impressed with Jeff Walker's role.
Yeah, I think there's, Brendan's got a lot of great input, but he also, I think, is slightly more hesitant, at least in the early days. And that event was, the definition of early days for them. And I think you're right. Jeff sort of stepped up to be, fill, as you say, fill the void a little bit for them. But I don't think it's been necessary since then. I think the energy as a team that they have now is very, very harmonious. We're back to thinking moments. Brent being extremely careful. This is not a game you see in a club. This is you're playing against a guy you have to really watch out. What's he going to do? I think there's a lot of thinking for Skip Pierce on this about what is my opponent going to do if I do A or if I do B.
But also taking advantage of throwing really well. Like I know the Knapp team that they beat earlier. That's the best team on the Sask curling tour. I know Team McEwen would be ranked the top out of Saskatchewan, but Team Knapp, no slouches and they're comfortable with Robson play as well. So you get 4 blanks out of, and then a force out of the Knapps. When I see that score line, I instantly see, okay, this is a team that's playing well, that knows what they want, knows what they're good at, and. On another note, how we've started off here, David, I cannot believe there was 4 blank ends in that earlier game. These guys are going to the wall here.
It was 8 rocks and 6 in the house and 2 up front. My goodness. Only there's how many behind? Hardly any behind the house. So it's amazing. Now there's a hit and roll here, but I don't know what Brad's thinking. This is one of those things where you're playing 2-3 shots in advance, setting yourself up for things. So let's see what he's got going on. It looks like they're trying to angle tap their own red. It's a very skinny shot. Are we going to clip that guard? No, we're good. Well, I don't think we meant to hit the yellow. We meant to hit the red, but in the end, I think we've created some very interesting new ideas. Certainly a lot of situations that Brent Pearson's now got to be very careful.
For sure. Still got to give kind of the advantage Pierce right now, don't you think? There's 2 really makeable ways to separate these stones and close off that button area for Gushue. It'd be pretty tough to get rid of either of these, but
yeah, it seems to me that the tricky area right now is that I think Gushue can come and do something useful either way. He can throw the in turn or the out turn. So now I think Brent's sort of asking himself, which is the one I want to try to, I guess, diminish or remove as an option for my opponent. He's definitely playing it very defensively, so it's interesting to watch. He's constantly saying, well, if I do A, then this is what he's going to do. And so what does that happen? So it's trying to actually play out the next 2 or 3 shots in a row. Very, very difficult thing to do. Okay. So we're coming with the out turn. A little tap.
Just seeing another pan of the stacked crowd. And you know what? These are local curling fans. This is not, I'm not thinking this is traveling coaches and family. Like, this is just Swift Current Saskatchewan knowing that they have a great ticket in town with some of the top teams in the world. They've come out to take it all in.
Absolutely. I like the ones standing up at the very back. Those are the ones I love because they're you'll see them moving, sort of shuffling back and forth and trying to get a better view of everything.
Yeah.
What's not clear to me is how much distance is there between the stands and the sheet we're watching. This is sheet
3, so the stands will be on sheet 1.
Okay. So there's one game in between them then.
Just one, yeah.
Yep.
Brent Pierce's first stone here in the second end.
Yeah, simple little draw weight shot. He's trying to move his own rock back into the scoring position and also leave his shooter, I think, in a position where it's providing a little bit of cover. And that has turned out quite well. Now it is open. Is there a run back? Here's the replay. Very, very nicely thrown. This is more about weight than anything, but the guys are making sure that it hits just the right way. And back onto the button. Now I think, if I'm not mistaken, you can tell me yellow is now lying 1, and red is next best. Does that look right to you? Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to do a lovely nose hit for trying to clear things up and also remove some of these yellows that are starting to pile up a little bit. Again, this house is just jammed with rocks. My goodness.
Yeah, this has been awesome. Great first game.
Well,
Stuffs it.
red is now shot. But rather interesting situation.
Red is now shot, but you got to think that middle yellow is now just completely locked in there.
Mm-hmm. I don't know though. What if you hit the red at the top of the 4-foot hard enough? Could you remove both yellows and keep 2 reds in there? You might be able to do that. I'm not sure.
I feel like once the middle yellow hits its buddy on the left there, it's kind of going straight downwards, and will probably take out the red one on the tee line.
I guarantee you that Brent is not going to give us a chance to watch that. I think we have to wait. I think we have to wait for Team Gushue to get that one.
The commentators demand it. They
yes.
want to see the rocks move. I think just looking through the guy's legs there, yeah, there's no way for that yellow to go clean through. It's hitting yellow then red, I think.
From above, it looked much nicer than it does from this angle. Great angle.
I love getting the different angles because from above, it's an amazing view. It's it's the default curling broadcast view, but it can be deceiving.
All right, so another out turn down basically into the gap, and try and make sure that you end up setting shot. Decent little bump on that yellow into the red. You could end up sitting 3 here. I don't know if it's possible with the right weight. I'm not even 100% sure how hard he's going to throw this. They tap with the broom in different places, and it's really hard to decide in the end what they've decided to do. We can't hear it, so.
I think they're trying to hit that middle yellow rock first. Like if they can ever get through the port and make contact with the middle yellow, they'll be lying 1, maybe 2. Line looks really close.
Mm-hmm. How's the weight though? It seems a little bit soft.
It does seem a little soft. Pretty darn good. Nice
I don't think he meant to hit the top red first, but my goodness. Now.
No, I'm pretty sure they're trying to get through, but still pretty good result, and I don't see how Gushue scores 2 here if he is still shot.
And this is the final shot of the end coming up, so.
Really impressive, this Pierce team.
Wow.
A team that doesn't tour very much. Like I don't see them very often.
That's right. Yeah, it's not a team you see traveling very much. I've got 9 rocks in the house, and 1 to come.
Are they thinking that that yellow on the left?
Yeah, well, I think they're wondering if who's shot. If yellow is shot, they have to do something about it. But if red shot, they could theoretically just ignore everything and maybe just try to draw. Or
you can see Jeff tap that stone. I think it's yellow.
So Brad's going to try and chip the red.
Yeah, does that make contact with the higher yellow at the top of the button at all?
Just the one that they think is shot. I think that's the goal. Red, yellow, yellow, yellow. The yellow that is shot rock goes back to the back of the house, and then they sit one.
I guess I was asking if it might roll past the center line and chip the other yellow in for shot, but
I see.
Must not be too much of a concern. Well, we've got treated to another incredible curling end in the second end. Brad Gushue's last. Try and make sure he scores his single here in the second.
Sort of throwing a gentle sort of backline weight. Enough to move the rock, but not a whole lot more. Ooh, is it going to catch enough? No, I think for sure now it's one yellow.
I think they just ensured that it is 1 point for yellow. Little too sharp of an angle. Going to be a steal. You can see Brad signaling here, Connor, if you go to me. Kind of signaling to his team that he thought it kind of... They were confused on the curl at the end. Anyways, it's a steal of one. Gushue trails by 2 points entering the third.
We asked Saskatchewan what they know about 5G.
More speed? More innovation?
It's going to make our lives a whole heck of a lot easier.
This is what 5G looks like.
Better, faster. Sounds like one more G. Sounds pretty good.
I don't know what it means.
All you really need to know is the future of 5G is here and will continue improving through investments in network technology.
Join us this March for the House of Hearts Charity Bonspiel in Duluth, Minnesota. Help raise funds for Project Joy, who provides meals for hungry kids in our community. Every donation helps to ensure no child goes hungry. Join us and make a difference. Together, we can spread joy.
Hey Ben, what's the Aztec Safety online e-learning website again?
Yeah, that would be aztecsafety.com.
Fire extinguisher and firefighting, we'll send that one to Paul.
Now here's a course I should probably take. Conflict resolution.
Power line safety. Yeah, I thought it might help me with my line calls. Did you know this Aztec website has over 100 safety courses?
Jeez. Aztec Safety online course. Ground disturbance. Could have used that a few seconds ago.
Welcome back to Swift Currents. And guess what? We got more rocks in play. It's been a really interesting first two ends. It has taken about 50 minutes to play the first two ends, which is longer than you'd like, but they've both been super interesting.
Yep, lots of rocks in play, lots of angles, lots of thinking and calculating. And in the end, Team Pierce has managed 2 points, which is quite impressive.
I'd say it's pretty deserved as well. They've taken some risks, but they've really made a lot of shots in a row, and you know, they've made most of the big ones, which is equally as important. And I think they deserve a lead right now.
All right, we're playing off to the wings. So we're going away from the center now. The strategy of playing around the center guards and into the center of the ice for Team Gushue didn't seem to be working, so we're now working out in the wings. A little bit of a change in the strategy, a little bit of a change in the approach, but that's to be expected, and this is a little bit more textbook when it comes to managing the hammer. But looks like they've over-curled a little bit, and Brent Pierce seems to think there's enough room to come around and just bump that out and sit and dominate the house.
Bit of a change of pace for Team Pierce as well, because in earlier ends they were playing to the middle no matter what Gushue did. Now they're, like you said, a little more traditionally chasing the stone with the fifth rock of the end. They can't peel yet, so they're chasing the rock.
Well, a little error there, a little bit of flare on the release. So we've got a miss, and Gushue is now at liberty to basically get rid of yellow rocks and take over control of the house.
Sorry, Connor, just accidentally changed your view there. We're our Curling Stadium broadcast team. We got David on commentary, myself, Rory McCusker, aiming the cameras, joining in on commentary, and Connor Sims producing the visuals and the scoreboard, switching cameras. So a 3-person crew we have working this game, and it's taken a long time to get to that point where we can have multiple people on each draw, but all of you tuning in on YouTube and allowing Curling Stadium to grow, it's credit to the fans for supporting us. This is our 4th Western Showdown that we've been able to stream, and just getting bigger and bigger every year.
That's been great, and I love the profile of the teams. As I said, I went on Curling Zone on their site, which is great for tracking scores and information about just about every decent curling event taking place at any given moment. Not just this one, but if you see the lineup of teams in this event, you click and just see the profiles of all the teams participating. It's fantastic to see the nature of these teams. It really is.
No, most definitely. A lot of fun one can have on Curling Zone. All those tabs at the top, all sorts of information to follow our
it's almost dizzying when you get going on it, following all the interesting bits and pieces. Who's playing, and then what's the schedule, and then what's the draw, and oh my goodness, what's the score at any given moment. So it's great.
Very interesting roll there. Both yellow stones kind of separating from each other as they rolled to the wing. I think yellow is shot 1. It might be contested over whose second shot, fighting the 12-foot.
Mm-hmm.
Those are always the toughest ones to tell.
The good news for Team Gushue is, unlike the last 2 ends, we're playing away from the center. The center is wide open right now, which is quite nice. And if we can draw around this guard and sit on that back one, then we are really looking good.
Oh,
that's a
beautiful
lovely
tap.
shot. Yep, lovely shot.
Almost perfect. Tapped the yellow rock no further than what it needed to be tapped. I think it is shot 2 for red right now. Shot 2 for Gushue.
Yeah, it looks good.
Another wonderfully swept stone.
And Brent has no choice but to try and follow that shot down. So the replay just showing us how well these guys managed this shot. And they did want to hit it hard enough to bump it, I think. And sure enough, they did. So that worked out very well. And here comes Team Pierce trying to do the same thing, but they've over-curled.
It's going to be a pretty bad result.
Yep.
Overlapping.
The good news about that rock they just threw is I think it is good enough to be second shot. So it does take away a little bit of the strength. But I think, yeah, Gushue's... Oh. I thought he was going to try to draw. And then he's starting to look at the idea of hit and roll.
Yeah, you want to keep your red in the back of the rings relevant.
Oh, he's going to do a hit and roll, I think. Just playing off the one that was just thrown. Trying to get over behind the guard on the other side of the house.
Yeah, you'll lie 3 at the end of this if you make it. Pretty attractive prospect. This is curling a lot. And it will jam the red at the back. Very unfortunate. The shooter itself, I don't think counts for second or even third shot.
Interesting.
Or maybe third.
Obviously overcurled. Definitely didn't want it to overcurl. We have the replay coming down, and it appears they thought it was looking good to start, but then once it broke, as hard as Jeff was able to sweep, he wasn't able to save the line. So, yeah, definitely overcurled. Interestingly, this is a very aggressive call because I'm not certain. It's hard to tell because we never know exactly whether we can trust our camera angles, but I think red is at least shot and maybe even first and second shot.
I thought they were first and third, but yeah, it's
Okay.
difficult to tell.
So this is a very aggressive call.
Yeah,
You have
not
to make
a
sure
lot of
they're
not a lot of reward for hitting that top red, though. You know, you're not going to be in the rings.
Yep.
So this is the rock to chase, but it's very interesting to see them attempt to freeze.
I think they're just drawing.
Oh, just drawing around the corner.
Just a T-line level draw behind the guard. Very nice shot. But I think entirely accessible. Looks like Gushue's just going to play a freeze to it.
See, I wonder why they wouldn't want to remove that red stone. They would be shot 2, I thought.
Come all the way back and bump it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it leaves an awful lot of room for Team Gushue to come in. I suppose they were just trying to take over. Had it curled a little more and been a tiny bit shorter, it could have been very deadly. But here we go. It looks like an attempt to tap and even tap and just sit.
This looks more like ice for a draw. Just a pure draw. Little freeze. Maybe little tap.
Yep.
I thought they might want to remove this stone from the rings and get that the back red back in the conversation.
I think that needed to slow down. Well, wide open, and now we have a chance to remove 2 reds. And
I think they knew it was heavy and just wanted it to curl. Not the sharpest form of Team Gushue we're seeing so far.
Yeah, just little bits of curl, over curl, under curl, heavy, but ever so slight.
Yeah, first game at the event. It's going to take them a little bit to acclimate to this environment. No 2 curling clubs are the same.
Yeah.
Always a little bit of difference in the ice. That's one of my favorite parts of watching curling is watching the athletes adjust to different ice conditions.
And the teams with what we'll call more competitive experience or more high-level competitive experience are not necessarily dominating. It's if you look at both sides, the women's and the men's draws, there have been all kinds of surprises early on in the draws. And this is a triple knockout, so everybody's alive until they've lost 3 times. But I mean, we're seeing all kinds of things. If you look at the women's side, you know, Chelsea Carey and Carrie Anderson are already down the draw somewhere, but you know everybody's still fighting. But there are no obvious predictions anymore. Okay, first rock for Brent Pierce, and throwing a nice little intern hit. He's like to hit and roll a little bit, but mostly he wants to make sure he gets rid of his opponent's shot, and he rolls under cover. They're very, very nice shot.
That's almost perfect.
Yeah, it's frozen to his own rock, and they're both first and second shot. So I think Brad's just coming down and sitting on it. I don't think there's really much choice, unless I suppose he could peel a guard, but by the time he does that, he's down to his last shot. Corner freeze. Well, the
This
sweepers
is
don't
turning
seem
into
worried about the weight. It's more about making sure this line.
yeah. This
Rock
has
has
turned
to
into a really quick spot. This is a few rocks down this path now. Really well broken in. That rock is just gliding and gliding and gliding. Having some trouble getting the finish that they were expecting out of both Brad and Mark's stones down this.
I agree. Yep,
this
I
way.
agree.
You can see Brad kind of shrugging his shoulders, putting his hands in the air, thinking like, yeah, I just thought it would curl more there. Still talking about that path, Mark and Brad are.
A lot of muttering happening behind the house.
Lots of game left, though. This end did kind of shape the way that Gushue was hoping it did. It was wide open. They were trying to keep rocks alive around the 12-foot, knowing that they weren't in any trouble to score their single point. So this was a fairly well-manufactured end from Team Gushue. They just couldn't make the right shots at the right time to set up that multiple score. Another undercurl down that same path, this time by the other team.
Yeah, that did not finish as much as they expected. However, it did finish enough to do the job, which essentially was to just remove the red or remove it from contender as a shot rock, and then they're now sitting 2, maybe even 3, and Brad has no choice but to just have a simple draw, basically draw the button, and then we'll be back to a 2-1 game.
Last rock for Brad Gushue, down 2 points, facing 3 counters. Draw to keep himself in the conversation. This game that they've been getting outplayed the first 3 ends.
My initial impression was they had no concerns about the weight, and it looks like
all of a sudden they did.
No, they made it.
Will go far enough to score a single point. Team Gushue still riding the learning curve on sheet 3 here in Swift Current. We'll have the 4th end when we return.
Gee whiz.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
Saskatchewan, you know Sasktel because we're everywhere. Because being everywhere keeps us connected to you. With Sasktel sponsorships, we get to be part of your community. We're here with you, and we're here for you. It's easy to get started. All you need to do is apply. Sasktel cares. Always has, always will. To apply for sponsorship, visit sastel.com/sponsorships.
We are back, and for really entertaining game. First two ends, very messy, very interesting. I expect a curling puzzle from those two ends, David. I don't know if you follow that Facebook account.
Yes, absolutely. It's what's your call kind of situations, and definitely there's a lot of very, very interesting options. This has been an amazing game to watch, and mostly because of the amount of kind of finesse shots that we've seen them trying to do. Lots of taps and freezes. So it's been interesting. And now we're back to playing down the center again. We went out to the wings. Well, I guess it sort of worked in a sense, because you could say that Gushue scored. He'd scored his point finally, got rid of the hammer, but now we're back to the center.
Even that third end was quite interesting in its own way, even though there wasn't a lot of guards in play, and we were mostly playing to the very edges of the house. But even that was quite interesting in its own way, watching them manage the rolls and some of the mistakes we saw.
So now we're trying to keep things nice and clean. Brent Pierce has got his hammer back, and he needs to try and just keep things nice and clean so he can maintain control.
So Nicholas Umbach, lead for Team Pierce. This will be his first hit of the game. Makes it quite well.
Mm-hmm.
Always gets your heart racing a little more when you're playing lead and you're asked to make a big hit and roll or a peel or something. It's irregular in your shot regimen, so you really want to make sure you make it.
Mm-hmm. But he's left a double for Brendan, so I think, well, I'd say it's relatively straightforward for curlers at this level.
Botcher's so specific with his hits. Putting it right on the broom. That curled a touch more than they thought it would.
Turned out really nicely. You have it sort of guarded, but not quite, and then now the yellow is quite exposed.
Yeah, with that weight, were they trying to get both yellows out? I could see Mark kind of gesture with his broom. Get on out of there. So
I think so. I think so. It needed to hit the first rock a little bit more thinly. It over curled in a sense, but it's not a horrible result right now. We're early in the end, so I think it's more positionally setting everything up. Brent has asked for hack weight here, so I think he's trying to come around the top and just bump the red through. It's going to be an interesting thing to see where the shooter ends up. Okay, so it does spill out wide into the 12-foot, leaves another option for a double, although it's also just a simple hit and roll to stay underneath the guard.
Cody Johnson, second rock thrower for Team Pierce. Now double opportunity number 2.
So we're definitely going to see a roll to the center, and again, not a bad result.
Pretty sure that was the call. I thought they'd be going for the double, but the way they were on and off that sweep, that's the exact roll they wanted.
Well, there's no harm in having a rock in that position, because it's pretty hard to remove. So I think they're kind of saying if we make the double, great, and if we roll in front and just sort of freeze on top, that's okay too. There's a lot of good things that can come out of a shot like that.
Team Gushue seem to prioritize their center guard. They want to bring play back behind that guard. Leaving both those yellow rocks in play, I mean, they didn't need to, but it seems like they are playing to make sure that there's a point scored this end. Trying hard to force or I mean, leave a steal opportunity for themselves. But
sure,
rocks in play seem to be something that Gushue is okay with right now.
Okay, so now there's some weight coming. And 2 rocks gone, including...
Oh, that spin! That spun back in, I'm pretty sure.
Oh.
And I was saying this in my earlier games, the way these rocks are treated and the way curling ice is now, you have to expect on a slow roll that the rock will curl back, like literally make a hook shape and come back towards its direction of momentum. You have
Amazing.
to expect that now. It happens so often.
And Brad seems convinced that it's definitely biting. And so we have a hit and roll to lie 2. It's a lot cleaner this end. We haven't got this massive buildup of rocks as we've seen in other ends. So at the very least, it's a much more simple and a lot faster pace of play. Sit down.
Yeah, game clock at 1 hour and 15 minutes, 1 hour and 10 minutes so far. And we're halfway through the 4th end. So they owe us a bit of time, David. I think they can afford to play a little faster. But like we were saying earlier, it's totally normal for games to go, 2 hours, 20 minutes at this point. And for a while I was thinking it was just slower play and the players were just playing slow, but curling's changed. There's more draw shots, more tap shots, thus there's more situations to think about. The ends just don't go as fast as they used to. I know it was like kind of a rule of thumb. Curling end takes about 15 minutes to play.
Right.
No, that's when 2/3 of the shots were hit weight.
Yeah.
And there's less decisions to be made.
At least more of the shots were played with a little more weight, so that we didn't spend quite as much time watching the rocks coming down and sweeping them in a position. You're right about that. So far, not only have we had a lot of conversation going on in this game, but then a lot of the shots have been down weight, draws, taps, freezes, finesse shots that obviously are not moving as fast. So the entire process just takes that much longer. Simple attempt to hit and roll. Both teams are trying to do the same thing. A little inside roll. Not bad. Top of the forefoot. And I think we can safely say red is lying 2.
Yeah, I don't think there's a hit and roll in opportunity here. Really only one place to roll behind where there's cover. And it's been Team Gushue with the better opportunities to do that so far this end.
So this one, I think sees enough of the rock to make a play on it, but may not be able to stick around. So that'll lead us finally with a simple draw. We haven't had many of those this end, but instead of hit and rolls, we're drawing, which means slightly slower shots, but easy calls. Easy to put the broom down, and everybody knows what we're doing. No discussion.
Yeah, it's the chance that Gushue's been waiting for all end, pretty much, to lie 2 with a good one undercover. Pierce will be forced to chase it. Can't be satisfied hitting the open one, because then Gushue's just going to pile another one in there. If nothing else, looks like a pretty good force opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Yep, Brad just has to remember his weight from this final shot last end when he was trying to basically draw the forefoot was a little bit light. And the sweepers are actually jumping on this a little bit sooner, as if he may have just thrown the same weight.
It's got a long way to move as well.
Yep.
I think sweepers were forced to wait for that one and just ran out of time. It was both wide and light. Maybe not wide, but too much ice for sure. Now Team Pierce sensing that the force is on. They may as well try to score 2. With the overlap of that rock that Brad just threw, there is a kind of magic spot where you can be totally buried with no run back opportunity. You can get all the way into the forefoot as far as you can possibly curl. It will be totally hidden.
Yep.
Any higher than that, Gushue will have a short run back.
Yeah, by not curling enough, Brad has left himself a rock that he can actually use if he needs to get to something. I think he would have preferred to have it curl and go into the top of the forefoot behind the guard, but it's still a rock that has potential to be used. Brent has got to throw a really, really nice draw here.
Sweepers on this right away.
Yeah, I think there's some worry about it being late. It looks as if it's got enough room to get by the guard. There we go. Oh, that was well managed. Oh dear, it's coming back a little bit too deep.
Overcooked it. It was a really good throw. That would have been the shot. But just kind of swept it in the wrong order there, I would say. They gunned it off the bat.
Boy. As that rock was approaching the house, though, I wouldn't have expected to see it get that deep. That was amazing.
Fourth end, tends to be the quickest the curling ice will get. It's fully broken in, but it hasn't started to break down yet. So this is especially coming home towards the glass. We did find in Swift Current last week when I was playing there, it was about a quarter of a second to a half second slower going away. So a little faster coming into the rings that face the glass. I think that's common in most curling clubs. Tricks the sweepers there a little bit, leaves a really good opportunity for Gushue to make a draw of his own.
Okay, so the sweepers are not sweeping for weight, so I hope, because the last time this happened, they left it a long time and then they ended up not having it go as far as they wanted, but this is turning out okay. Wow, just stopped in time.
Slows up just in time, gets enough of on the nose of the yellow. There is no shot for two. It'll be a draw to the backing for a single point. Team Pierce. Big opportunity to go up 2 points after 4 ends. It's a good spot to be. And probably our most plain end yet, which is really saying a lot because there's 5 rocks in play.
Absolutely. It'll be great to see. I think the simple draw is nice to see. As I said, this end, there's not been a lot of need to stand there and think about things. Just the broom goes down, shot straight forward, back to the basics.
Sweepers wary of their oversweep on the previous stone. Waiting as long as they can on this one. Until they know they have backing, which they do. They'll clean it in for a single point. The score will be 3-1. Team Pierce over Gushue. Gushue will have hammer in the 5th when we return.
Hey Ben, what's the Aztec Safety online e-learning website again?
Yeah, that would be aztecsafety.com.
Fire extinguisher and firefighting, we'll send that one to Paul.
Now here's a course I should probably take. Conflict resolution.
Power line safety. Yeah, I thought it might help me with my line calls. Did you know this Aztec website has over 100 safety courses?
Jeez. Aztec Safety online course. Ground disturbance. Could have used that a few seconds ago.
For over 20 years, the Sandra Schmirler Foundation has granted more than $9 million to hospitals across Canada for life-saving equipment for premature and critically ill babies. In the past 4 years alone, $4 million has been granted thanks to the curling community's incredible generosity. The need continues year-round, and with your help, we can ensure every baby has the chance to grow up and become a champion, just like Sandra.
We asked Saskatchewan what they know about 5G.
More speed? More innovation?
It's gonna make our lives a whole heck of a lot easier.
This is what 5G looks like.
Better, faster. Sounds like one more G. Sounds pretty good.
I don't know what it means.
All you really need to know is the future of 5G is here and will continue improving through investments in network technology.
Welcome back to Swift Current. It's the RBC Dominion Securities Western Showdown. Team Pierce hangs another number on the board. They're up 3-1 over Team Gushue. This is Team Gushue's first game of the weekend. Team Pierce's second. And David, they may be using that experience on this ice to their advantage. They've been playing extremely well so far this afternoon.
Absolutely. It's I don't think there's much to choose between these two teams right now. The odd little miss here and there in terms of weight, sweeping, or line, but basically it's been tight, and there's been a lot of situations where one shot one way or the other could have made a big difference. In the end, it's an incredibly tight score, and Gushue's got the hammer back. He's down 2, and we're in the 5th. The only potential downside there is that having hammer in 5th is not ideal, because you prefer to have, well, I guess you prefer to have it in 6, but we can just wait and see how this goes, because we haven't been able to pick an obvious dominant force in any of the ends so far. They sort of have been trading shots and keeping each other on their toes. So it's been great. Spectator-wise, we've been treated to a great game.
Oh, absolutely. One of the more interesting openings I've ever seen in a curling game. And definitely these first 3, even 4 ends, very fun to watch. Lots of angles, lots of decisions. And yeah, here we go. We're rolling onwards. Mid-December, this is the middle of the curling season, kind of going towards the end of the tour season for a lot of teams as they get ready for their provincial and national championships.
Mm-hmm.
Team Pierce, I'm going to have my eye on them out of the BC provincials. If they can play this well at BC provincials, they might be wearing a jacket at the Briar this year.
Yeah, that'd be fun to see. Brad doesn't have to worry about qualifying, which is always, I suppose, a nice thing. On the women's side, it's a funny situation because my club in Cobourg is actually hosting the Ontario Provincials this year, and we don't have Team Homan coming. And we were always thinking, oh, it's going to be great. We'll have Team Homan coming to play in our event, and then we realized, oh no, they won't be coming. So it changes ticket sales.
One of the many downsides of having a free ticket to the Briar and Scotties is some of the top teams don't get to participate in those what can be really fun provincial championships. But yeah, I'm sure your club's going to still put on a great event, and it'll be tons of fun anyway.
Oh, it will be. It will be. I think it almost doesn't matter who's coming. It's when you get to a provincial championship level, and the curling level is just so great. We draw fans, and we're located in a spot where it's a relatively easy drive from 3 different directions to get to us. So my hope is that we'll see a great turnout. We did host it 7 years ago in the same facility, and so I think we're looking at just trying to repeat the same kind of turnout we had. It'll be great.
some really fun up-and-coming young teams out of Ontario. Danielle Inglis playing very well. She's at this event. Should be some good games out of the Ontario Provincials.
No, I'm looking forward to it.
All right.
All righty. We're trying a hit and roll. The nice big gate that's been opened up, and hit and roll underneath.
Some great sweeping. Gets that by the center guard. That was almost a disaster.
And a chance for Team Gushue to draw underneath in the center. Put this one right on the center line, on the top of the 4-foot. That should be very, very difficult rock to deal with.
Really hard sweep, gets that rock just good enough. There's no roll in.
Yeah, they take away the hit and the roll under cover, but unfortunately it's still quite exposed. I think they would have really loved to see it 2 feet deeper and 6 inches further under the guard. But here we go. Got a little hack weight shot.
Like you said, fifth end, it's not as great as scoring in the sixth, but being down 2 points, I think that luxury of kind of picking and choosing when you are going to score kind of goes out the window. Team Gushue, whenever they have hammer, have to try and put something together where they score multiples. That's sort of the spot they're in right now.
Yeah, there's definitely some pressure at this point to get things going. Boy, this rock is curling hard.
Another great sweep. Holds that straight on.
No,
shot rock yellow, although I think they would have liked to make this hit and roll under a little more challenging. This is going to be a simpler roll.
Yeah, although it's amazing. I don't know how many we've seen this game, but there's been numerous times when we've been trying to hit and roll underneath some guards, and we seem to not quite be making them the right way. It's either it's a little bit outside, and so it just doesn't curl enough and flip under, or it goes too far. And so it'd be nice to see a couple made that are, just exactly the way we want. So big opportunity here.
Yeah, good time to get started is right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is, and it's Mark Nichols, who's renowned for being a deadly curler. So okay, get that roll.
Almost. They get about half under cover. Still exposed a little bit. But if your team Pierce, you hit that rock, you're rolling out, and then Gushue gets a free draw underneath the guard. So knowing that, Skip Brent Pierce has signaled a run back. He's going to call his third Matthew Blanford down.
Yeah, Matthew and Brent have been collaborating an awful lot this game, and this is another situation where they have to make the right call. You wonder if they could hit and roll a little farther away than they did on the last one and still be shot, and give the Gushue team a little more trouble to try and get back under cover. But the other option is they're definitely looking at just running back yellow onto yellow. Only trouble is if you ever miss this, there's 3 coming into play, so you've got to make sure you get this dead on.
Pretty makeable, though. If you throw this right and you hit it where you want to hit it, this is going to be a pretty good result. You're going to leave your shooter almost straight down the middle. So you're going to retain your center guard. Going to remove at least 1 red, maybe 2, and you're going to have 2 yellows in the ring. So huge reward here for the make.
Well, especially as you look at the yellow, it could be the in off of the red and over to the other red. Absolutely. So this will be a key shot for this end.
Gets it a little high side.
And did it. Absolutely beautiful.
Marvelous shot. Both reds leave the rings. Center guard sticks around. It's a one of those shots in a game that counts for double, triple, quadruple. You've made 3 or 4 shots in one. When those come around, you really want to make sure that you follow through.
No, and they've left the center line guard, although it doesn't guard anything, and it does give Gushue something to draw around. But at the very least, you took away a lot of the trouble that you were facing just a moment ago. Oh, they're talking about freeze, or they're talking about draw.
Yeah, Brad looks. He's afraid that there's going to be an easy tap back or run back on the outturn side, no matter where they go. That advantage is going to be for Team Pierce for the whole end if they choose to draw around the center.
Yeah, I think because of the way those guards are staggered, or well, the 2 rocks up front are staggered, if you can draw into the 4-foot underneath, it will be a very hard rock to deal with. You just have to make sure you don't go too deep.
I was kind of excited to see Gushue play to the corner and then see if Team Pierce would ignore it and come right to the middle. That would be very interesting. This is curling early. Looks like it does not have the weight to get there. Wonder if they got caught on that kind of the paths that I was talking about. Just a little slower going away than it is coming home at this rink.
It's either that or something funny happened on the surface of the rock, because that's very uncharacteristic error. That's, I'm going to say, at least 12, 15 feet short and
overcurled by a full rock. Yeah, now that I think about it, that's more likely, isn't it?
Mark Nichols, well, I mean, anybody can make that shot, but I mean, my goodness, that's a bit of a surprise. All right, so now Team Pierce is in the driver's seat.
Most definitely. It's a free crack at that kind of honeypot right in the top of the 4-foot, overlapped guards, the yellow rock in the top 12. There is a pretty big zone that Brent Pierce can put this rock. It's going to go a long way towards perhaps even stealing a point in this 5th end.
Yeah,
once this path is taken away, it's not going to be available for Gushue to draw around anymore. He'll have to move something if this rock is made perfectly.
Yep, and we have to get out. I noticed that it looks like Team Pierce is taking more ice than Team Gushue did for this same shot. But he has to get deep enough, like into the top of the 4-foot, that it's not easy for Brad to sort of outdraw him. That's the only danger here, is if it, for any reason, it sort of sits high in the house or something, and Brad can simply just come around. This is over curling.
Yeah, they're going hard to keep it straight.
They buy? Not quite.
Weight would have been pretty darn close.
All right.
Ended up crashing the guard. Makes me think that it is just quite swingy over there, David.
I think you're right. So far, both teams have been caught. And now Brad is coming out almost to the same distance as Brent did. Mind you, the guard is no longer in the same place. It's slightly moved.
Yeah, even still, they're taking more ice, though.
Got chance for a skip's deuce here. Time for Brad to draw the top of the button and make Brent work.
Such a big swing. Matthew Blanford's run back was so successful. And then Mark Nichols' responding draw was so unsuccessful. It was just a really big chance for Team Pierce to really put the screws to Gushue. But now here we have an opportunity for Brad to put a good one in the 4-foot and perhaps even have a shot at 2 later on. Trying to get some movement. Weight looks pretty good. And at the expense of coming to the back of the button, they had to bury that stone. So the curl sweep takes priority. Brad's Rock will sail to the back of the button. It'll be another pretty good chance to draw Team Pierce. And just the way that positioning is, this is a kind of steal or bust sort of shot. You want to put this right on the lid.
Yeah, I mean, that looked amazing all the way down, and then we leaned on it a little bit to try and help it curl, but I'm not sure that didn't also take it, just a little bit farther than they wanted. I would have been inclined to just let it finish on its own, and might have stuck around closer to the pin. But here comes Brent. He is actually coming the same way, which is not a surprise. This is the line everybody seems to know. And if he can put one right down onto the top of the red rock, I don't think Brad will be able to do much. There's not even a lot of options to run rocks back.
Big moment in this game, Brent Pierce. He's had his draw weight. He's been able to practice these paths. Can he take advantage and put a stone right on the button to try and steal a point to take a commanding 4-1 lead? Or will he leave the door open for Gushue to draw for 2?
Well, the sweepers it must be close. The sweepers are on and off, trying to decide whether...
Looks a touch heavy, David.
Yep, you're right.
They will bounce off. Opportunity missed. It's an okay result. They're shot for now, but this is going to be very available for Brad Gushue to tap back, score himself 2 points, and get right back in this game.
Yeah, Brad's just got to make sure he puts the broom in the right place here. He'll bring his weight up. He'll be one of those shots where he wants to make sure he throws enough to tap it through, or at least tap it back to the back of the house. And having been in this situation many times, you have to be a little careful not to overthrow it, overdo it on the weight. But this is Brad Gushue, so let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Brendan trying to finish it a little bit. Move. My goodness.
Just couldn't read the spots. I think they were expecting more curl.
I think you're right. And it wasn't that heavy. It wasn't as if he threw it sort of in a hack weight or something and overthrew the weight. That's amazing.
Just a weight-sensitive spot. Tricks Team Gushue, and that is a massive result. A big steal puts Team Pierce up 4-1 after 5 ends. It's going to be a big fight for Team Brad Gushue to score some points in the 6th when we return.
So with the impact to my business and income, will this delay my retirement?
I know you're worried, Marshall, but based on the original plan we came up with, you're only about 6 months behind.
I thought it would be years, not months.
You should feel good. Remember, you've got a plan.
Thanks.
With change comes questions. See the impact of your money decisions before you make them with RBC Wealth Plan.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's ice pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best broom in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.
Corner guards.
Welcome back. It's the sixth end here in Swift Current. One of the top teams in the world, Brad Gushue's first game against a lesser-known team at a BC, and Brent Pierce. It is the team with a previous game under their belt, Team Pierce, that leads 4-1. And David, we saw plenty of opportunities for either skip to make a move in that last end, but neither one could be very specific in where they put their rocks.
Yeah, Rory, it was amazing. I mean, all kinds of opportunities for hit and rolls and draws and taps, and everything seemed just ever so slightly off. Both teams, interestingly, and it came down to who made the last mistake. So interesting how that's working. Now we've got a very, very traditional setup where Team Gushue's gunning for a minimum of 2. So the corner guards are going up, and Team Pierce is filling the house in the dead center. So we're going to have to see how this one shakes out. But at least the textbook is being used here to get us started.
Yeah, Team Gushue will play aggressive. They'll take some risks, and they'll try to be really specific with their shots. But as long as they score 1 point, they're still in this game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the analytics aren't very good for them, but it is they cannot give up another point, or else their odds of winning completely plummet. But yeah, especially for the first half of this end, I bet we'll see some risks from Team Gushue.
Yeah, take 2, then force, and then got the hammer on the way home with a need for at least 2, and that's very doable. It's only a 4-1 game. I mean, although you can say one team has scored most of the ends, the lead isn't that big. Looking at the uniforms that Team Pierce is wearing, I'm trying to figure out how the hoods work. We got one guy in his shirt, one guy in his hoodie, and his red hood, and another one wearing what looks like a hoodie which has a black hood. I'm not even sure. I think Brent has an extra layer on. I think that's probably the explanation.
Gotta be. Yeah, the sleeves as well. I think it's a Mr. Mike's hoodie.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, and that's the shot they needed from Brendan Botcher.
Wow, what a lovely shot. Yep, classic execution from Brendan. Dead down the middle, clean release, and hits just at the right angle.
Those are the shots I bet he's practicing day after day at the Saville Center.
Yeah, he and Jeff working together on making sure he's got all the different shots. As a skip before, he certainly had to throw a large variety, probably a lot more finesse shots than he does as a second, but he's an accurate thrower, has a great delivery, so lots of control.
Yeah, and a lot of experience. Brendan's been playing high competitive, high stakes kind of competitive curling his whole life, really. So he's a veteran.
Yeah,
lots of years left in the tank, but already.
I said to him as we were chatting in Lacombe at the Pan Continental, I said, I've been following you since you had those amazing glasses. And he kind of laughed. I said, well, those glasses have been gone for a while. But yeah, I used to wear, I don't know if you remember, I used to wear those huge wide frame, dark frame glasses. I loved those.
I don't super remember those.
Oh, yeah, no, I guess I didn't even I just assume he's had LASIK surgery or something. But anyway, I loved those glasses.
So trademark. Such a character building. We played him twice in university play downs. He was in school at the same time as me. And my junior team that hadn't really won anything made him throw his last rock, and my dad was coaching us and was so proud. You made Brendan Botcher throw his last rock. Congratulations, guys.
No, there's always a satisfaction in taking any team that's strong right to the end of the game. Everybody, staying competitive and keeping in it the whole way through.
Yeah, that's something that Canada's top teams have to deal with. They go to Bonspiels and they're going to get the very best game out of their opponents. So it's raises the stakes even higher, just even more reason for them to always be at their best.
Yep. Well, and that's what we're seeing a little bit from Team Pierce. I mean, the concentration level is certainly very, very strong. There's a great level of focus and determination from these guys. So, all right, we're going to remove the corner guard, and we're bringing the play back to the center. Nope. Nope. So it's interesting. The call came from the hack that time.
Yeah, these two have been working together on the last 4 stones in the end, basically the whole game. No surprises there. Whoa, camera got away from me there. Thanks, Connor.
So just a straight peel of the top red, and that leaves Brad the opportunity to come into the house. He's got a berry and threaten to score 2. So let's just see if they can get the weight in the line right.
Just want to shout out to the chat, all the subscribers chiming in, creating a really fun environment to watch curling. So thanks for chiming in on the chat, participating in these streams. This is what makes it so much more fun than watching on TV, is listening to what other fans have to say and meeting new fans from across the globe. So let us know where you're watching from, who you're cheering for. Seeing Denise Hall, Marlene, Molly, Annie, Dawn, love Cheryl Laporte. Thanks for tuning in and chiming in on the chat. Makes it really fun for us to interact with you guys.
Yeah, I love the short comments when they do say things like "wow," because I go, "What kind of wow is that? Is that a good wow or a bad wow?" Yeah. It's an easy comment to make. You can say that after any shot you want. Wow. Alrighty. So, looking at trying to create a little more offense by coming around the top of the house and freezing to the back. Success on this shot will be very problematic for Team Gushue. So let's just see if they can get this rock in exactly the right place. Line is really good. Really, really nice shot. Wow.
Yeah,
there's a wow.
Yeah, we know what kind of wow that was.
Yep.
Matthew Bladford has had quite a few good shots this game. That's his 3rd or 4th in a row.
Mm-hmm.
I think back to the run back last end that really turned things around for them.
Well, it's shown the way for their opponent. In theory, all the Gushue team has to do is follow them down and do the exact same thing. It's easier said than done, but at the very least, the path is clear. And it would appear that they have done that beautifully as well. 2 great shots in a row. With room for another. Could end up with an amazing stack of rocks here if we're not careful. So
now, just knowing how many points Gushue needs, you got to be careful not to rearrange these right now. Your yellow one is safe in the middle there. It's not going anywhere. But I think a tap is not so good. If you leave any kind of angle, Gushue might have a way to blast both of your yellows out of there. And I know you have a yellow counter in the top of the 8 foot, but just the way Gushue is hungry for a multi-score end right now,
Mm-hmm. Well, and the way the ice is curling, I mean, you could even just draw right into the line of rocks, but stop it, on the tee line, as opposed to bringing it all the way back and fusing it. As long as it's guarded, there's no harm in doing that. Better to do that than, as you say, throw it deep and tap and sit on a funky angle, and then all of a sudden, interesting things can happen.
That's very good observation. I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, that avoids the back pile entirely.
Mm-hmm. As long as it curls enough. You just have to get the line right.
All right, yet another rock down this path.
Looks like the line looks really nice, and finishes a little bit of an angle. Didn't really tap too much. Got Team Gushue thinking about whether they want to just come down to it again or whether they want to try and run the yellow back and see what happens when you jiggle everything around. Brendan looks incredibly relaxed as a second. Sort of relaxed, standing with his hands on his broom, looking down the ice. Even though he's got so much experience as a skip, there's something about being a front end sometimes it's very nice, because you just say, well, we'll let the guys figure out what they want to do and we'll sweep.
And sometimes that's what's needed. It's different on every team.
Absolutely.
But that's another thing I noticed from Lacombe. I'm sure you noticed the same thing, David, is how quickly Brad got Brennan involved in strategical decisions.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, having another voice of his caliber and with his experience is never a bad thing. And as long as everybody's communicating effectively and nobody's trying to take over and be controlling, it can be phenomenal to have an extra opinion, an extra pair of eyes. Looks like there's going to be the run back. Dead nose or even slight roll wouldn't be bad.
Yeah, it's a big reward if you can get rid of these two yellows.
Wants to keep his shooter. Yep.
It's pretty darn good.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to force Team Pierce to put this next stone in a really good spot.
Another clean release for Brad. Nice looking shot. They definitely had to be careful where they hit this, but it worked out beautifully. Give Brad a little bit of a satisfaction too, where he's seen a few shots that haven't gone quite the right way, and now we're seeing a couple that seem to be working really well. I think that's at least 3 or 4 shots in a row that Team Gushue has made with deadly accuracy. So that's a nice lifting effect for the team.
You know, the best teams don't make every shot every time, but they get continually better throughout the tournament.
Mm.
Every game learning a little bit more about the ice, their rocks, their delivery at that moment right now. Better and better and better, and that's how you keep playing longer and longer on Sunday, and I guess in this case Monday, is by just continually adjusting, learning the sheets, learning everything you can, and applying it.
Yeah, it looks like Team Pierce is going to try the exact same shot. The key here is simply making sure you get rid of at least one red. And then if Brad decides to draw under the guard. Nope.
Yeah, it's a safe call. Looks like
he's going to try for 3. He's going to the same side. I thought he might have gone under the guard to sort of guarantee 2, but
no. Last rock at the end here. Gushue gets himself an open draw. I think both teams are happy with this.
All right, sweepers, over to you. Put this rock on the tee line.
A similar path to what he drew in the fourth end.
Mm.
This time we'll be crossing center. They've just seen this path a few times. Team Gushue doing their part, clawing back into this game with a score of 2. If they get it there. It's going to be a 1-point lead with hammer in the 7th for Team Pierce, trying to hold on to a giant killing victory over Team Gushue. We will have the exciting finish next 2 ends on Curling Stadium when we return.
We asked Saskatchewan what they know about 5G.
More speed? More innovation?
It's going to make our lives a whole heck of a lot easier.
This is what 5G looks like.
Better, faster. Sounds like one more G. Sounds pretty good.
I don't know what it means.
All you really need to know is the future of 5G is here and will continue improving through investments in network technology.
Hey Ben, what's the Aztec Safety online e-learning website again?
Yeah, that would be aztecsafety.com.
Fire extinguisher and firefighting, we'll send that one to Paul.
Now here's a course I should probably take. Conflict resolution.
Power line safety. Yeah, I thought it might help me with my line calls. Did you know this Aztec website has over 100 safety courses?
Jeez. Aztec Safety online course. Ground disturbance. Could have used that a few seconds ago.
Welcome back, just in time for a picking stone.
Didn't even get over the hog line.
No, luckily it's the team with hammer up 1 who doesn't really want any craziness going on, who's stone picked. But come to think of it, David, didn't the Leeds first stone pick 2 ends ago? He had to kind of give it a shove and a lot of rotation.
That was the one that was just as we were coming back from commercial, and you're right, there was a bit of a extra shove and spin just to try and something. The curler felt something under the rock.
Pretty sure that was his first stone.
Now have we got this over? Okay, that's what we call a long guard. My goodness.
Well, double center strategy. The whole thing is you want to make a double peel really, really tough. So
yeah,
the
sweepers were working awfully hard just to get it over the hog line. Good for them. That's actually one of the tougher shots you have to play, is the guard that just sort of drifts over the hog line.
Yeah, it is game on. So with the first stone picking and hogging for Team Pierce, they'll want to put this one in a good controlling position, top 8, top 4. Sweepers really seem to think it's got to go. Well, Pierce wants this right on the button. See, to me, that feels a little deep. Just makes it easier to freeze onto and kind of trap. But you can see the skip holding his broom right over top of the button. So that's right where they wanted it.
Yep. Best part of it is its curl. I think in that situation, and a little bit of extra sweeping allows it to curl that much more and get a little bit further under cover. So that's probably what they were focusing on. But if Brendan can make a good shot right down to it right now, this will make life very difficult for Team Pierce. Line looks really nice. Oh, I may have spoken too soon. There we go. Great weight. Big opportunity here. You can see Brent Pierce in the house looking at it going, well, we have this great big red just sitting there for us. Which way do we come in? Because if they can just tap that back and sit, this is a little bit reminiscent of mixed doubles where you're just jiggling rocks around in the forefoot and setting yourself into a perfect spot.
Yeah, even though that's not perfectly frozen, I'd still say advantage Brad. He's got his 2 center guards and play is totally centered around the button. Just as a concept, those are the 2 things you're looking for when you're trying to create a force. Game clock clicks to hour 2. It was a pretty slow start, but we've kind of picked up pace since then.
So he's just coming down and bumping. Fortunately, he did bump his own rock just ever so slightly over to the side, so it's a little more exposed now.
Doesn't quite remove the red stone. I'm not sure how big of a deal that is. I don't think you'd be hoping for a blank. You can see the pocket sort of slowly being created that Gushue wants. Wants some rocks in the back of the button, back of the forefoot to draw to. That's the idea.
Yep, and the idea here is to create another one of those with this shot. Around the guard.
Little flop inwards towards the center line is going to go a long way.
Tap that rock back into the back of the forefoot. Looks like it's not quite curling enough, but it still works quite well.
Yeah, that's kind of give him half points for that. The red rock's totally exposed. It can easily be addressed. But it does get the rocks a little further back in the rings, which is the main purpose of the shot. Would have been really nice to keep his shooter right on the center line, though.
Basically the same shot he was looking for last shot.
Just want to say again to our 1,800 viewers on YouTube, thanks so much for choosing to tune into Curling Stadium. We really appreciate your support. This is a really by the fans, for the fans kind of project. All of us do this just, because we love the game. So it's really fun interacting with all of you online, and thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, in theory, we're doing the work with the voices, but it feels like there's quite a gang of people all enjoying the game together. Lots of comments, lots of people obviously watching from literally right across the country, which is great.
No, absolutely. For James Gordon, Jerry Gertz, John Benton, all of us at Curling Stadium, it's been a thrill to be able to bring all these high quality tour event curling games for free on YouTube. It's been quite a journey, and we're glad to have you with us.
That's been super. And the number of opportunities for fans to stay with their teams, wherever they may be. It used to be, it had to be a certain kind of event or a certain kind of location before you had a chance to watch. Not anymore.
Ooh, a bit of a desperation play there. Really had to try and make some Yellow Rocks move. Mark Nichols, once again, can't quite get the line right.
Yeah,
it's been a bit of a struggle hitting the broom or reading the spots for both Nichols and Gushue today, and that's another instance of it.
The amount of finish seems different for the rocks that Team Pierce is throwing, almost because it seems like they're taking a little more ice and yet the rocks are finishing harder. And I think, there's all these situations where the Gushue rocks are coming into the house and they're not finishing. That was a great example where, it's okay, everything looks good, but just now start to curl, and it just doesn't quite get over as far as it needs to. Yeah, we're in an interesting situation here. I think Brent is having trouble trying to decide what to do because he's saying, he wouldn't have expected to have this opportunity, and now he's trying to say, okay, now how do we make the most of this?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's not too late to peel. I know that sounds a little wild, but because you have such an advantage down the middle. But if you really, really wanted to ensure that you had a makeable shot on your last one, you could take on a peel. But I think you've got 3 rocks in the 4-foot and a really good chance to lock away that outturn side. You got to take it, don't you?
I mean, I think so too. Yeah, it sounds funny because the 2 centerline guards that were supposed to be helping Team Gushue get everything set up, and now Team Pierce is actually, how do we maximize the value of those guards? So it's an interesting scenario.
I just got a comment in the chat. They're putting points on the board wrong. What is this? Yep, they use the baseball scoring here in Swift Current. Or no. Sorry, this is the traditional style. But they might be referring to the funniness of a curling scoreboard. It's always entertaining trying to explain to a fan the first time how a curling scoreboard works.
Yeah, because that is a traditional board. So it is 4-3. Yellow has 4. Red has 3.
Yeah, you hang the inning, not the score, if you're new to curling scoreboards.
Yep. You hang the end, and the score is along the top, and the black strip. Yeah, we had in the men's B event you were saying you were in Lacombe too.
Yeah.
In the men's B event, we had the traditional scoreboards for the B games, and we had a couple of situations where the teams ran the score off the end of the scoreboard, and we were all standing around trying to figure out what do we do. One of the games that the team I was working with, they got 16 points, and there's only 11 or 12 on the scoreboard, so I was trying to figure out how do we even do that.
Yeah, I think the default's the way to do it is you kind of start over, you roll it over, start from 1 again, but that just feels wrong.
You have to hang the number upside down or something. Yeah.
Oh, neither.
Wow.
It's really a worst case scenario.
Yep. Another wow. We need some wows in the comments. Oh, I got a weird, but not a wow. Oh, no, whoops. A lot of W words. So what is Team Gushue going to do? I guess they have the opportunity to remove the yellows or just sit on them use them as backing. Definitely a draw.
Yeah, I can't quite get my head around that call. How difficult it was to peel the low one, to get by and just get the low one. And I guess it removes a certain element of danger, but just this result is so bad. Just a really challenging ask from your third in a situation where you have such an advantage. Rock will not quite get there.
Overcurled, and then unfortunately caught the one on the top of the 4-foot. So that's a bit of a break for Team Pierce.
I'm using my camera zoom powers, and I'm just trying to see what rocks he's throwing. So Mark is throwing his 5 and 6 stone. Because I wonder if they wouldn't have switched these rocks out a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
He's obviously having some trouble with reading the curl of those rocks. I feel like they may have wanted to swap his stones earlier in the game. Once this started happening a few times in a row. Well, need to make good on this shot here.
Well, it's an opportunity, but it's interesting the approach. I think they had a lot of different options. But they're showing incredible respect, basically, for the Gushue
That's
rink.
going to be a really good spot. If there's a hole there, it's going to be tough to navigate. Nice bounce back there, Matthew Blandford.
Yep, that worked really well. So, can Gushue get through the gap and sit? Or are we playing a hit and roll? Yep, there's an in-off double where you could sort of trickle your shooter back into the pocket. That would be an amazing shot.
Well, I feel like Brent Pierce has shown Gushue that he is, like you said, respecting the ability. So if you put this red rock in a usable position, you got to think Brent will try to either remove it or cut off access to it.
Mm-hmm.
What you really want to avoid is making this cold in-turn draw with no backing. If you're bad Gushue, you want to try and leave yourself something on this out-turn side, because that in-turn draw is just so scary looking. And it's against the game.
Based on where the broom is, this is not going to be moving all that fast. So it's not a sort of a big, hard double. This is going to be a one where they're trying to sort of jiggle their shooter sort of in off one or two rocks and be shot. I
Yeah, it's like they're playing the draw a little heavy, knowing they're going to chip off something, whether it's the outside yellow or the one on the top of the 4 foot. But they want to get that rock in a place where it's tough to remove.
Yep.
It's a scoreboard call as well. You got to think tie game scenario or even up one. Gushue would be taking on the triple takeout. This is definitely indicative of where they feel they're at in this game.
Line is really nice.
Makes the chisel, rolls in. Do they get second shot? I think they do.
That's an amazing shot.
Yeah, it works out quite well. Pretty short angle run back for Team Pierce, but at least that's going to open things up for Gushue to attack on his last stone.
Right. This will be another long discussion where Brent is trying to be incredibly careful and respectful of his opponent. How do you play this so that you maximize your options and minimize his?
Yeah, I think you got to just shred it and leave that out-turn freeze. Did Gushue poke the yellow stone far enough off the center line that there's an in-turn draw now? If we get that kind of head-on view, Connor, we might be able to see.
The high guard makes it awkward.
The high guard makes it awkward. It is just so high, and we have seen quite a bit of movement on that path.
Mm-hmm.
There is a chance he has an in-turn draw. In either case, I think it's pretty safe to shred this red stone if you're Team Pierce.
Yeah, I just think that he wants to hit it at an angle which is probably sharper than everybody would think, so that the yellow, the shooter can go. I think the shooter will spill away, but the yellow that he drives into the red needs to sort of sit and get in the way, act almost like a bit of a guard in the 8 foot.
If he's able to stick it somehow, if he's able to get it thick enough where he just sticks it right there, that would be absolutely ideal.
But based on where the broom is, I'm not sure how optimistic I am. It's almost as if he's going to try and keep his shooter in play, and the yellow he's driving back onto the red is going to spill off.
That'd be awful specific.
Well, there's certainly no shortage of weight.
Looks quite thin for now. Yeah, they're sweeping for curl. Will they get enough of it? Yellow, red.
Yep.
They do. They get a really beneficial kind of spin from the stone at the end, and it is going to sit right in the way of that out-turn draw path. Really good result.
Boy, that took its time coming over, though. Brent might have been sweating a bit.
Keeping their composure, keeping their focus. This Team Pierce has been very impressive. A kind of dream start, getting out to a 2-0 lead. And they haven't spoiled it. They've been able to hang on to that advantage throughout the game. And another big shot right there shows that they're not going away. This is no longer really a Cinderella story. Can they do it? They are in the driver's seat right now. It is Team Gushue who has to make a really nice shot here just to give themselves a chance.
Absolutely. I mean, this in a weird way, the game could be won or lost on this shot, because if Brad can sink one in there for shot rock that's hard to get to, he could end up stealing. But if it's available to be removed, Team Pierce could make a big number, and I think that will probably be it. Here we go. Keep it clean. They're not worried about weight.
No, they need this to thread the needle. The line is the important thing here. Starting to get some break now. Will it be enough? Taps the top, rolls. I think just barely it is. I think they're shot rock.
Yep, that's amazing. Just barely curled enough.
Game-saving shot from Brad Gushue.
And the tricky part here is now, how on earth does Team Pierce respond?
You know, it's some good sportsmanship during that replay. Brent Pierce leaned over to Gushue, said, nice shot. Gushue gave him a little exchange. So both opponents respecting each other. I think they sense what we're sensing, David. This has been just a really fun game. Very well played on the whole, and just really tactically fun to watch unfold.
It looks like Brent has realized that his only chance to get rid of that red rock is to run the other red rock, the one on the center line, straight back, hit it on an angle, and hopefully spill the red. Well, this is a really tough shot. I don't think
there's multiple ways to make it, though, David. I don't think there's a ton of risk, because you really can't over curl. It would be tough to get the inside of nose of this one they're trying to run back. And even if you nose red on red, I think you still count your 4.
You might be right. Absolutely.
So a lot of ways to make this, and it's handshakes if he does, I would assume.
Yeah, it's better than just playing the draw. I have to agree. It's one of those shots where you go, let's go for it. The worst we can give up is 1, and we'll have hammer coming home if we do.
Massive shot. Kind of the ones you dream about. Brent Pierce to take a huge score of 4 or more against Brad Gushue. Last rock in the 7th end. Can he seal the upset with this one?
Looks like it's just a little bit outside. It needs to curl up.
Sweepers are working on it. So close. Almost had it. And I think it is a steal of 1 for Brad Gushue. David, this thrilling game takes another crazy turn. It's tied up in the 8th end. Someone is going to be winning the game here. I mean, I guess you could blanket and ruin my assessment, but we will have this incredible 8th end for you when we return on Curling Stadium.
Stronger agronomics, better returns, greater peace of mind from pre-seed to post-harvest. You can count on the Victory Canola program to keep you.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
Sasktel Be Kind Online wants to stop cyberbullying. Want in on the action? We award up to $1,000 for youth initiatives that help spread kindness and prevent bullying. What great idea do you have to help stop bullying? Sasktel can help. Go to BeKindOnline.com and apply for a grant today. Together, we can make a difference.
Welcome back to Swift Current. It's the RBC Dominion Securities Western Showdown. An incredibly entertaining game. Brad Gushue, Brent Pierce. It was all Pierce to start this one. A single in the first with an opportunity for more. A steal in the second. Forces Gushue in the third. Team Pierce takes one in the fourth to open a 3-1 lead. And then in the fifth, as Gushue gets aggressive with hammer, it is Team Pierce stealing a single point. Takes a 4-1 lead. You'd think they'd have it cased after that, but no. Gushue, a hard-earned 2 in the sixth end. We just watched a steal in the seventh. Could have given up 4 or more, but makes a magnificent chiseling draw on his last shot. Brad Gushue does to tie this game up at 4 points apiece. I'm here with David Wills, Connor Sims on the production, and David, it's been incredible.
It really has. I mean, I originally started thinking, why I've got so many rocks in play, and it's all kinds of complicated, and then I realized we're seeing an amazing array of shots. It's just been fantastic, and so we're tied up, coming home. Team Pierce has the hammer, which is, I think if we remember the beginning of the game, they started with the hammer, so it's come full circle. We've got the center line guards all sorted, and now here comes Team Gushue with an effort to take control. So it's going to be very interesting. This needs to have enough weight to get back to shots position, and I think it's looking awfully good. Beautiful line. Oh.
Just barely doesn't. It might get shot rock, but it's not a great position. They're hoping for a freeze there.
It's a measure. Yeah, an angle freeze or draw in behind so that it's undercover. But right now, well, looks like Brent Pierce is he's now in a position where he can start clearing guards. A 5 rock rule, and we've had 5. So here comes some clearing and an exchange of peels and guards to see how we can open things up.
Yeah, when you're trying to steal and you're setting those guards up, when you make that decision to come in and make your what they would call the good one, when you come to make the good one, you really do want it to be a good one because you're going to have to guard that rock for the rest of the end.
Yep.
So to not really get the freeze or the good kind of buried shot rock position there is a bit of a blow for Team Gushue's stealing chances, but now with the double peel made.
Yeah, this is a lovely shot. We're just watching the replay here, and it's a very, very, very well thrown. But obviously, the key thing was the angle, so that we remove both guards. Double peel. Excellent. And we're just replacing the guard. The line looks really nice.
So this is the dance we see so often in tie game situations or extra ends, is the peel replace, back and forth. So peel replace, peel replace. I bet we'll follow this right into Skip Stones.
Oh, Just barely. I started to think it was going to overcurl. That worked out beautifully in the end, but
The advantage for Team Gushue is their guard doesn't necessarily have to perfectly cover their stone in the rings. The guard is more important than the rock in the rings right now. If Team Pierce was ever to choose to chase the red one, I think Brad would be quite happy that his center guard was left in place.
Right.
So not a lot of pressure when you throw these guards. Just keep it sort of in the middle. Make sure the depth is where you want it, and know that your opponent's likely peeling it anyway.
Well, Mark's had a bit of a rough game. Certainly several shots have not behaved according to plan. So this is a nice little guard situation for him, and it looks like he's thrown it on a perfect line.
Now that may have come quite deep, and geez, would Team Pierce ever consider running this back?
Well, I think the good news is he can throw it down this line, and if it ends up peeling the guard, that's fine. And if it overcurls and comes on over and allows him to run back and get rid of 2 reds, no harm done.
Looks like the call was the single peel.
Perfect.
Geez, I would have, especially if that red rock is shot, I would have been really tempted to take on a run there.
Yeah, I think the problem with the run is you're going to leave a guard, so you have to remember if you better be perfect. So I think at this point, well, we have, I guess, 3 rocks for each team. So
problem with most run backs is that you'll leave a guard. I guess I'd be so tempted in punishing them for coming deep, knowing that as long as I hit high side, I can still make the run back and roll quite a bit of ways off. But nothing wrong with getting rid of that center guard.
So what are the boys considering here? This is interesting. It's a bit of a conference going on. The 3 rocks to come. Tapping the yellow back, corner freezing on your own red. Tapping the red back, corner freezing on the yellow.
You can see Gushue signaling to the pocket. I suppose there is a way to make that red rock a little bit better. You could tap it forward, and as long as you rolled slightly centerline side, there would be no double or way to get rid of it. You might leave maybe half of the one you tap exposed. Seems a little early for any of this, in my opinion, David. I think
It's a tricky situation. You're right. I mean, when and where we could throw another guard, and then what is yellow going to do? Because if yellow comes down, if we have a centerline guard and they decide to bump their own straight back onto the button, and there's a little bit of cover, we might be in a tough situation. So it is a tough point. When do you decide to go for it? Now, here's the next question. What have they actually decided?
Yeah, will be an out turn.
Yeah, and I'm guessing that means this is not going to be a guard.
No, this looks like an ice for a tap. I bet they're tapping the centerline side of their own red, I would think. Nichols conferring with Brad again. You want to get this right. If you're playing into the rings here, this needs to be a very precise shot.
Yeah, they're bumping the yellow. Oh, we're coming the other way. They're bumping the yellow and trying to keep a slight corner freeze of the 2 reds, so that hitting the reds will keep at least 1 red in the forefoot. So we're trying to bump this yellow back, I'd say, to the back of the forefoot.
Really close sweep. Seems like a lot of weight. Gets the yellow. Freezes on their own red. I don't think that yellow was tapped to a very useful spot.
No, I needed to be a tiny bit less weight, I think.
Now the decision for Team Pierce. Do you try and move both reds? It's going to jam into your own yellow. Or do you just kind of nose it? Hit it a little on the centerline side. Make sure that the shot red goes away. So I don't think you can get rid of both of these red stones.
Right.
It's going to come into the yellow no matter what.
Right. Yeah, I think the idea was the red shooter was sort of corner freezing on the other red, so that if you hit it hard, it would go sideways into the yellow. This one, it's sort of rolled a little bit further away from center than they probably wanted. But at the same time, it's, as you say, very, very hard to remove. And right now, red is shot rock.
Yeah, Victor Lee chiming in on the chat. He says super blast, and maybe the red top one spins up and out. Yeah, perhaps. Even if it doesn't spin up and out, just kind of out of the way would probably be good enough for Team Pierce.
With all the finesse shots they've been making all game, it probably feels funny to try and come down with a real heavy shot. But yeah, Victor might be right.
Not a lot of risk in trying it.
No. Well, they have 3 to go, to Gushue's 2. So the other consolation is right now there are no guards, and so there's access to something eventually. Alrighty, based on the ice, I think we are going to see, as Victor puts out, a super blast. Both reds go, probably maybe even 2 yellows go. I don't know if this is as much weight as I would have expected.
Or the curl, or the turn that I expected. So they're just going with the single hit. That was one of my first instincts when I first saw that scenario. It does create some troublesome overlap. But for now, Gushue is not shot rock. And with no center guard, it's a pretty lonely red in the rings. Any little slip up by Brad's going to leave a double opportunity to, well,
Yep. Well,
with this overlap in the top of the rings, I feel like Brad's always going to have somewhere to draw. He might have a back 4-foot draw, but he'll be able to put it somewhere that's going to be tough to chase.
This is a simple little just off nose tap, and then see how Brent responds, and then yes, as you say, I think we're going to have, well, at least 1 or 2 different options for Brad on his last shot to try and challenge. First things first, we need a perfectly thrown tap to bump this back into hiding, and keep his red shooter in front of the 4-foot so that it sort of is in the way. Jeff can't decide whether to sweep or not. That's a good sign.
Don't want to push this too far back. That'll be just fine. Although a nose double gets rid of both of them.
Would have been nice, I think, to have that knock it just ever so slightly further on an angle. But I think, as you say, there's always going to be some kind of double.
Yeah, the further you could have sort of shoved that rock to the side of the 4-foot, the better the angles are for you. But I didn't really see them sweeping to keep it straight. So that must be right where Brad kind of wanted to put it.
Yeah, I think that all things considered, that's a pretty good result based on what they were trying. It does make Brent think, and he's definitely got to try to do something about this situation, because right now, A, red is shot, and B, the 4-foot is relatively blocked. So he wants to ultimately make sure he has a chance to earn a point with his last shot.
Would you ever hit your own Yellowstone into the 4-foot?
Yeah, I mean, this is a thing. He's if he, let's say he makes the run back double, that leaves Gushue a draw to the button. And if he makes it, then how can Brent respond? I suppose he has to tap back something of his own, but I think he's thinking 2 shots away, and he would rather just see things really nice and open, I think.
Yeah, the red double seems like the natural choice, but that can go wrong as well. You hit that just a little too high side and leave a red in the top of the forefoot. That's not a good result. Also, if you over curl a little bit and miss the double, leaving the current red in the top four, that's not a good result either.
Right.
When you raise your yellow, you're much more likely to at least make sure that that red is going to be gone and that you will be shot at the end of things.
Yep. Well, the broom is, boy, I was originally thought he was putting his broom where he wants to hit the red, but it looks like this is the ice.
Full crowd here, Swift Current. I'm glad they got such an entertaining game.
Yep, and the other games are all done, so everything's focused on this one game now.
It looks like we still got sheet 5 out on the ice, but
oh, do they? Oh, okay, I can hardly see it.
Most of the games are done. 3 of the other ones are complete for sure. You can see the ice crew in the background, eager to get started.
Yeah, this game's gone on a bit.
Big shot here. Brent Pierce trying to hang on to the Cinderella story victory against Team Gushue. Gets 1, gets 2. Will he punch it far enough? Red sticks around for second shot. That might be significant, but he's cleared the danger in the forefoot at least.
I think the draw, this is the thing, he's left this sort of this little 3-rock wall at the top of the house. If Brad can draw under it and sit shot rock, that'll make life difficult for Brent.
Now, would you ever want to put this kind of behind the tee line? Would you ever want to put this behind the tee line, knowing that there's so many runs or taps, angle runs? Do you want to force Pierce to follow you in an in-turn draw, or does this need to be above the tee line? Make sure that there is no kind of draw tap.
I like sitting on the pin. That's my instinctive reaction. You could go. I would say you don't want to be light, but you want to be. You want to be under cover and shot rock. So
big draw, Brad Gushue. They've been clawing their way back into this game. It's been a battle, and they have fought to be in this at this point. Can he make a real good one here?
Needs to curl a lot. It will be shot.
Gets some good finish at the end. It's in the back of the forefoot. It does make Brent Pierce think. Does he want to chip this rock away with hack weight? Or does he want to play a draw of his own? You know what? He has not taken much time to think about it. He's putting the broom down. And he's skating down to throw the draw.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I think in the circumstances, I would probably do the same thing. The only other thought would be to bump something straight back into the red. But then you run the risk of angles causing trouble. So I think you've got backing. It is all the way back at the back of the forefoot. So, and there's a reasonable amount of space around that guard, to be honest. And the other thing is, he doesn't even have to, let's say he throws enough to bump it. He doesn't even have to bump it dead on the nose. He can just remove it far enough away that his original shot up at the top of the forefoot is shot rock. All right.
It all comes down to this. What an incredible curling game. Ends up tied up in the 8th. Brent Pierce with the last rock. A champion will be decided at the end of this shot. And the team from New Westminister, BC, looking to beat Brad Gushue, one of the more impressive victories of their career, I would imagine. Sweepers are on this right away. Don't want to get too excited. This is a quick path we've seen. This is flowing out a little as well.
Oh, yeah, you're good.
It curls enough to use the backing. It will be 1 point yellow. Victory for Team Brent Pierce.
That's a pressure shot. Good for him.
Let's see if we can get a reaction from the team in red here. They don't know who to high five. Very well deserved victory. It wasn't just one or two lucky ends. This team fought really hard the whole game. Put one of the best teams in the world under incredible pressure multiple times. Brad Gushue had to make a lot of shots just to save some of those ends.
Yeah, there's a few smiles there. You can sort of see the chests are puffed just ever so slightly. I think there'll be a bit of a celebration when they have a moment when they're not completely exposed. But good for them. Great game. I think the team Gushue probably is feeling as if they didn't really throw their best game. But overall, seeing it be nice and close with all kinds of interesting twists and turns made it fantastic for us to watch. And that's, at the end of the day, what we really want to do when we tune in. So what a pleasure to do that.
Well, thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. Gushue versus Pierce. Hey, if you thought that was fun, we have 3 more days of top-tier curling from Swift Current. Hey, for my partner, David Wells, producer, Connor Sims, thank you so much for joining us. And we will catch you later, curling fans. Have a great night.
Thanks, Rory. Take care.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's ice pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best brew in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.